Hello everybody, and this is Jeff Hayes, and we're here to talk about this Bagdure, Dr. MD. He was my mother's main doctor for years until finally I got her away from him, and that still didn't help because they kept putting him back with him. And it's because of him and his negligence that he didn't inform the surgeon performing her hip procedure that she had an adverse reaction to certain drugs. So wouldn't you think that if it was one of your clients that you would tell them something that's important to where they wouldn't use morphine on you? See, now here's his background. This is about. And so I don't really care. You have all the schooling in the world. Either you're good at what you do or you suck at it and you shouldn't do it. But around here, they got a lot of people that suck at what they're doing and they still do it. But when you're in healthcare like this and every one of your fuck-ups or mistakes causes injury and permanent damage to somebody's life, I mean, that's really screwed up. And I've never liked this guy since I had my first conversation with him after I took my mom out of the hospital when she was reduced to a fully functional adult to somebody that couldn't operate a microwave, had to have physical therapy afterwards. You know, only in Oklahoma can they have people practice like this, get away with it. I don't know if he's devious or whatever, but I tell you what, there's a lot of stuff that tells me that this guy really doesn't care, or there's some other motivation behind him. We'll get to that because certain parts of it are in this video, and certain questions that I'm asking are going to be done this. And this guy's supposed to have 17 years doing this. And plus whatever he's done here. He says my approach is empathetic and non-judgmental. Well, that wasn't his tone with my mom, how she complained about him. But my mom wouldn't do anything. Now, I never met this guy. So it wasn't until after they fried her brain with morphine, because Bagdure did not convey this important and vital information that she has an adverse reaction to certain medications. Now, to me, as an elderly person, that would be something that would be important to pass on to a surgeon that's going to administer, a drug to her. So he informed me that he had diagnosed her with dementia. Well, no, duh, you done screwed up her brain. And then he was telling me that he had her scans to see if anything which came in like that. And I told him, listen, guy, I talked to her that morning before I went to work, and she was fine. And it kind of blew his mind because they didn't know that we were roommates since 2012. So, I let him talk himself into a hole, and then he couldn't dig himself out of it. Just like their case manager at the hospital at that time, too, trying to say, well, she's disoriented. She can't live at home by herself. And I just let him keep on talk. They were wanting to put her home. They've been wanting to put her in a home to get her out of out of sight, out of mind, because it just every time I'm out with my mom and people ask, I tell them exactly what happened. So this is why you don't give elderly people the medication, morphine, because it's serious. It's extremely serious. If they haven't had, morphine given to elderly people, it's supposed to be in small little dosages at a time to let their bodies build up a resistance to it. Not just wham, give it to them all in freaking operation, because I'm sure Jeff Nelson would have figured that Bagdure would have said something, unless she never had morphine before, then he would have surely said something as a true doctor of knowledge and caring and professional who gives a shit about his patients. Apparently some don't. They're just here as America. You're just here in the United States just to rake in the money and work an insurance scam and screw it. And then when they screw somebody up, then they diagnose them with dementia and then put them off somewhere and then rake their insurance. And it's really screwed up that they never really cared and all this other stuff when I brought this up. And when APS started messing with me, I told him, I said, instead of coming after me, which I haven't done anything wrong to my mom, why don't you go after that stupid fucker that didn't relay the information to the surgeon that my mom had an adverse reaction to medication, and fried her brain, and we wouldn't have be having this conversation to start with if this sucker had done his job correctly. You know what I'm talking about? You know, yeah, I'm pissed off about it because now my mom's missing. APS and Sarah Morris from TMC let strangers walk off with my mom. Now that's illegal. So this is, I think he's got something to do with it also. There's some kind of scam going on here in freaking Oklahoma, Durant, and I'm going to get down to the bottom of it. I've already contacted the governor, contacted the hotline because APS has been blowing me off for a whole week now, not getting back to me, and I even had other people call their number from their phones and they still didn't answer. So something's going on and it's illegal, and somebody, you know, will find out. So this is what all happened to my mom underneath his care. So if you really, really want this guy to be your doctor, that's fine by me. You know, it's your life. Or soon to be not so much of it. My mom went from a functional adult because he neglected to tell the surgeon that she had an adverse reaction to certain medications, and she only took children's medication because of it. And I know he even admitted that she told him, but he'd never put it in her folder until that day when after I let him dig his hole and he couldn't get out of it. And I was like, I know she told you that and all this, so why didn't you, you know? And he's like, well, I'll put that in her file now. And I was like, yeah, thanks. And then he's like telling me when he said, well, I diagnosed her with dementia. I said, yeah, nice cover, you know, to where now you can soak her for insurance, put her in a home, soak her for insurance. She couldn't even complain. You know, because my mama was still there inside of her. You know, she just had trouble connecting with her mind, and you know, certain memories and stuff like this. But she knew who she was. She knew who I was. She, you know, all this. And now they've taken her, and she's with strangers, and she's scared. She thinks the family's like abandoned her. See, this is the kind of care that you get from APS and doctors like this, and institutions like Alliance Health and all this that employ this, and the Oklahoma government who lets ignorant people who are probably criminals work for them in APS. See, this is what happens, and nobody governs this or looks over it or investigates, even when you complain. You know, I've got enough evidence and proof here still, like when Campbell and Redmond back in 2014 railroaded me, and irrefutable evidence, man. I got 50 videos showing them self-incriminating themselves, and still the state of Oklahoma will not do anything. But this is something I put these public service notices up. This guy here, I don't care what it is. If he screws up, you disappear, you know, basically. Because now my mom's gone, and I don't know where she is, and APS isn't calling me back. I'm getting ready to go to the FBI. Because I don't trust the DA's office, because the people that were working in there under Emily Redmond are still working there. You know, so I'm just going to go out of the jurisdiction of these people and go straight to the FBI. I'm going to do that probably later today. And this is Wednesday, 6/05/2024. Or I'll get with them first thing in the morning, because I'm still waiting for people to call me back on this to try to find out if they can locate them through APS. Give them, you know, even call the abuse hotline and told them that DHS told me to tell you guys to tell APS to get a hold of me pronto. So let me do this down. This is talking about lawmakers on something stupid. Conceptional. Who cares about their fucking right to reproduce? They ought to have the right to, they ought to make it mandatory for a woman, if she's going to exercise her right to reproduce with a male, she needs to inform that male instead of entrapping him. I think that should have started back in 1973, so don't get me started. This is about this individual here, Bagdure, and now my mom's being missing. So I'm going to call also the Social Security office and tell them that stop stop her, put her check on hold, because she's, as far as I'm concerned, I've never been served with any paperwork and all this. She's been kidnapped. So somebody's doing something illegally, and it all started with this guy and APS. So if you want this guy to be your doctor, that's fine. Sure, you know, it's your life. Throw it away. Because he didn't do my mom any favors. I'll tell you that. You know, he tried to accuse me of giving her COVID-19, you know, back when he was like, they were just keeping her in the hospital for nothing. They had her on potassium. She was just there to get an antibiotic IV, and then they would give her an oral version of it and take her home. And see, this is what my mom was, a fully functional. People saw her walking her dog a lot, and now this is what she was reduced to because of this person's care as a physician. And he's the one that probably, like when I took her out of Alliance Health and took her to TMC, he's probably got mad about that, was the one that called APS again. And then they went behind everybody's back because there's a procedure they got to follow. And they didn't follow it, so they basically illegally abducted / kidnapped my mom. So, you tell me. I think there's something really, and then they gave her Seroquel. You don't give people Seroquel, that's a kidney thing. That's like, everybody knows that. That's a big no-no. And that's like they were purposely trying to harm my mom even more further. She might not even have bad kidneys. She might have just gave her the Seroquel to screw up her results and had an unnecessary operation of a dialysis port put on her. There's no telling. I was going to take her to Arizona and have her completely checked out. And they knew that I was going to move her with Arizona. And they probably figured she'd be found out. They'd be found out. And they're milking her insurance now. And they're taking her Social Security. So I'm going to have to cut that off. I'm going to call the insurance company and talk to them about that. In the meanwhile, this video and many more are coming the way to explain the ongoings, and we're going to find out, and I'll let you guys find out what happened. Because I wasn't served with any paperwork, and I'm immediate family, next to kin, and nobody should have been able to take her out of that hospital unless I was served with paperwork. You know, because unless TMC just lets strangers come up and take your family members. So we'll find out. And I'm sure my mom's not the only one that this has happened to. I've talked to many people that said that their grandfather was given morphine and fried their heads too. So it's an ongoing thing here in Durant, Oklahoma. If you care about your elderly people, don't take them here. And don't let this guy touch them, because he did my mom. And that's a fact. And I'm not lying to you. And I don't know him personally, so I don't hate him or like him personally, but his professional, the way he conducts himself with other people, I don't care for him. You guys have a good one. Be safe.